I'm bringing you a video out on the road today, visiting some friends, bringing you a video on looking at how to wear anti-gas equipment. And the first thing we're going to look at here is the Mark 6 respirator haversack, worn at the alert on the chest. You can see it's worn with the main compartment containing the general service respirator against the body, the two outer compartments of course containing the anti-gas ointment and the eye shields. It's always worn that way with the main compartment against the body. When worn up on the chest, the whipcord attached to the haversack is used to secure it, and you can see that comes out of the haversack here, down to the little D-ring, knotted on there, and then taken around the back. Oh, it's fallen down on the stool. There we go. Oh well, properly on the stool now. You can see the whipcord comes around the back, and it simply loops through the strap. There is a tab on the strap with an eyelet in it. That's not used for this purpose. The strap is literally folded, the whipcord's taken through, and then looped under the other arm. Come round here, you can see it's brought round to the other D-ring at the other side of the haversack and simply tied on with a quick release knot there. And that's how you wear the respirator haversack on the chest for the general service respirator. The reason for the haversack being worn in this manner with the main compartment worn against the body is that when under threat of gas attack, the haversack can be worn with the flap unbuttoned, the press studs undone, and the flap is simply held closed by being tucked close to the body, and it can very easily be flipped open like that to gain access to the respirator. We've already mentioned the tab on the back of the respirator haversack strap, which isn't used for taking the whipcord through to attach around the body. What it's in fact used for is bringing the respirator haversack quickly from the hip up to the alert position, which Ramsey here is going to demonstrate now. Passing the arm through the strap of the haversack, taking hold of the hook, reaching behind the head with the left hand, bringing the strap round and putting the hook through the eyelet on the strap there. The whipcord would then be used to secure the haversack against the body in the normal manner, passing around the back but not passing through the shoulder strap. So we've had a look at the Mark 6 haversack, and the Mark 5 is very similar in regards to how the whipcord is attached and so forth. The Mark 7, which comes a little bit later, 1941, is somewhat different. Still uses the whipcord and everything. There's one main compartment under which all the different compartments for various things. There's one flap that covers all the different compartments for the various items carried in the haversack, which I have done other videos on if you're interested in seeing. The strap just has one adjustment on this side. That's another difference as well, one buckle to adjust the main strap. But the whipcord is tied onto the haversack here, you can see. It comes round the back, and again in the same manner, hooks through the strap on the back there, just loops through. And then on this side, rather than being tied off, there's this button on the side of the haversack, and a couple of turns around that with the whipcord is enough to secure it, so you don't have to tie a quick release knot or anything there. It's a simplified design and easier to use from that point of view. So we've shown you wearing the respirator haversack at the alert. Another piece of kit obviously you're going to need for anti-gas warfare is the anti-gas cape, and this is worn up on the shoulders in the early war period, as you can see here, or carried up on the shoulders. And the method of doing this at the outbreak of war is shown here. The tapes from the gas cape come down underneath the arms, come up the back, which I'll show you now. Just turn this round. See, they come underneath the arms there, up the back, cross over on the gas cape, and then come back down to the front. Let's back round again. Come down over the shoulders and then tie in a bow through the D-rings on the front of the respirator haversack there. This is one way of doing it, there are others, but this is a particularly effective way of doing it. It holds the cape very well up on the top of the shoulders there. And we will be looking at how to roll these properly, and you can see it's rolled to roughly shoulder width there. So there it is. This is a slightly modified version, a slightly different version of attaching the gas cape at the shoulders, which will mainly different at the back. We'll have a look at that in a moment. It still comes over and ties up at the front here on the respirator haversack, still goes into the arms. But if we turn this round, you can see on the back here, the tapes are brought round, tied in a knot, and then looped over, which means that when you undo the knot on the haversack and release the tapes, it unrolls itself down the back and then can then be donned easily and quickly whilst the tapes remain secured around the body. When the gas cape is worn in this manner with the tapes knotted behind the back, it's possible to actually put it on like this and have an opposite number fold and roll the gas cape on the back, which we're going to demonstrate. Ramsey is going to demonstrate now.
You essentially fold everything into the middle, arms in, and then roll.
And bring the tapes over and it can be tied again onto the respirator haversack. So there's a slight amendment to the wearing of the carrying of the gas cape in September 1940, and this shows that modification here. The gas cape is no longer held on the shoulders using the tape coming over. It's no longer held up on the shoulders with the tapes coming over. It's secured using a piece of whipcord, which if I turn this round here, you can see runs up from the D-ring on the haversack. There's a loop made around the gas cape, and then that loop, the free end of the whipcord passes back through that loop down here, so when it's untied the loop can unravel and the gas cape can roll down the back. The tapes are simply passed down under the arms, round the back round the front and tied underneath the haversack at the front, so they are no longer passing over the top of the cape to secure it. And that's the post-September 1940, well, the September 1940 modification to the wear of the gas cape on the shoulders. The roll is no longer the full width of the shoulders, it's now to be 15 inches wide as opposed to the full width of the shoulders. As you can see there, it's somewhat narrower. Ramsey's now going to demonstrate folding the gas cape for earlier war use, and the most important thing to note with this to start with is that it's being laid out on the ground with the inner face down towards the ground, the outer upwards. So first of all you need to take a pinch on the left as you're looking at it, to the right as it's shown on the camera, and folded and brought over to the seam, which runs down just underneath the right arm, left as you're looking at it. The arm then needs to be brought in and folded down flat. The other side is also then pinched and brought across with a fold to the other seam on the other side of the gas cape. The arm is then again brought in and folded flat. Edge is brought in to make the correct width, and the other edge as well to make the correct width. Everything is folded flat, and from the bottom hem, the cape is then rolled up tightly and as neatly as possible. You can see there it's in a neat roll, and the tapes can then be used to secure it around the body at the shoulders. And here we have a diagram showing how the gas cape is to be folded, and this is taken from Protection Against Gas and Air Raids pamphlet number 1, Protection Against Gas in the Field, 1939. And if you wish to take a closer look at this, of course, you can pause the video here and do so. Okay, so we've got the mannequin set up now with a set of web equipment on. And the reason for doing this is we're going to show how the light anti-gas respirator is carried in its haversack. And you can see the shoulder strap for it here crossing the body, and it's worn on the left hip, as you can see here. It's worn underneath the belt here to stop it from flapping around so much, as per the instructions in the manual. And this is the most common way of seeing it worn by line infantry, down on the hip, on the left hip. And you can see the strap just passes underneath the belt there and is hooked over the right shoulder. So that's the light anti-gas respirator haversack. So in addition to looking at the light anti-gas respirator haversack, we have here the anti-gas cape on the back of the belt, tied on. And the way of doing this in the most secure manner is to loop one set of tapes round up through the back of the belt, and the other one comes round and goes down through the back of the belt. And then they cross over and tie in the middle here, which means that it's now securely attached to the back of the belt. And this is the way of carrying the anti-gas cape later in the war, just on the back of the belt here, out of the way. Here you can see another late war method of carrying the gas cape, and it's folded and rolled underneath the flap of the haversack, which is where the ground sheet cape would previously been carried. And this is a late war thing with the gas cape basically replacing the ground sheet cape underneath the flap of the haversack. And we'll show you now how the gas cape is folded and rolled to achieve this and fit it into the haversack. So Ramsey's now going to demonstrate the late war method of folding the anti-gas cape to achieve a width of around 11 inches for either rolling and wearing on the back of the belt, or folding up and carrying underneath the flap of the haversack. So first thing you want is the inner face outermost, facing upwards as you're starting to fold it. You bring the right edge over to the middle, bring the left side, or right as we're looking at it, over to the new edge formed there. Fold the arms in to the middle, and then repeat, bringing the edge to the middle, and then bringing the other edge over to the new edge formed, and you achieve a width of around 11 inches doing so. From here it can be rolled with the tapes outermost for wearing on the back of the belt, or it could be folded with the tapes inside for carrying within the haversack. There we go. So Ramsey's going to demonstrate exactly how you go about rolling and folding the gas cape to fit underneath the flap of the haversack, starting at the neck end with the tapes tucked inside. You then roll along the length of the gas cape until you've got a length left of 18 inches. And this is then folded back on itself once, and then folded back on itself again, and that can then be carried underneath the flap of the haversack, as you can see on this example here. Okay, so here we have Ramsey modelling an original 1942 dated camouflage gas cape. You do as a turn, Ramsey.
Of course.
Details. On the back here you have the large area which allows you to wear the haversack or the pack on the back, and the gas cape will cover that. So this is obviously shaped so that can be worn over the equipment. We come back around the front here. We have a pocket on the left-hand side, which is for carrying the AntiGas ointment and the cotton waste in the tin. There you can see. Another feature of the design is, and this is obviously perpetuated in the reproductions, there's a press stud, a reverse press stud down at the bottom of the hem here, and that can come up to this male press stud here and actually button the skirts out of the way, which makes obviously it's a little bit easier to move, a little bit easier to march with the gas cape worn in that manner. As I say, it fastens right the way around the neck here. There's a press stud which will bring it tight up around the neck there. And in contrast to reproductions, the one thing we noticed, particularly when Ramsey tried this on, is the length of the sleeves and the length of the gas cape as a whole, because they are supposed to, and the volume, yes, I was going to say, it's definitely plenty big enough to go on over your kit and everything else. But the idea is it's supposed to come down and cover the majority of your hands as well, obviously for protection. So that's a look at the externals, and we'll hold this up now. Ramsey will take it off, hold it up, and we can have a look at the interior. So looking at the interior here, we can see the whipcord is still attached to this one, the the September 1940 modification, to allow it to roll down the back when that's released. You can see the tapes here to attach it to the shoulders or onto the back of the belt, whichever way you're wearing it. You can also see little tabs here for hanging it up, because these, for storage purposes, they couldn't be left rolled up, they had to be hung. So they've got the two tabs there for doing that. Another interesting feature in here you can see is the holes underneath the arm there, which would provide some ventilation. And you can see on this side here, I'm not sure if the stars will show up so well, but you can see the War Department stamp there, and the letter O, which is 1942. And up here, with 3 stars, which were used to mark anti-gas equipment. So there it is, the interior of the anti-gas cape. So I do hope you found that interesting. That's a look through British anti-gas kit and how to wear it. A useful adjunct to the videos I've done looking at basic kit. As I say, I do hope you found that interesting, and until next time, bye for now.
Oh, hang on.
Yes,
Here,
here
and
and here.
here.
Exactly, yes.